नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13, Text 50. Ko nama loke purushartha saravid. Ko nama loke purushartha saravid. Purakatanam bhagavat kata sudam. Purakatanam bhagavat kata sudam. Apiya karnanjalibir bhavapaham. Apiya karnanjalibir bhavapaham. Aho virajyeta vinanaretaram. Aho virajyeta vinanaretaram. Ko nama loke purushartha sharavid. Purakatanam bhagavat kata sudam. Apiya karnanjalibir bhavapaham. Aho virajyeta vinanaretaram. Ko nama loke purushartha saravid. Purakatanam bhagavat kata sudam. Apiya karnanjalibir bhavapaham. Aho virajyeta vinanaretaram. Ko nama loke purushartha sarave. Purakatanam bhagavat kata sutam. Apiya karnanjalibir bhavapaham. Aho virajyeta vinanaretaram. Ko nama loke purushartha saravid. Purakatanam bhagavat kata sudam. Apiya karnanjalibir bhavapaham. Aho virajyeta vinanaretaram. Ko nama loke purushartha saravid. Purakatanam bhagavat kata sudam. Apiya karnanjalibir bhavapaham. Naretaram. Mataji. Ko nama loke purushartha saravid. Purakatanam bhagavat kata sudam. Apiya karnanjalibir bhavapaham. Aho virajyeta vinanaretaram. Ko nama loke purushartha saravid. Purakatanam bhagavat kata sudam. Apiya karnanjalibir bhavapaham. Aho virajyeta vinanaretaram. Ko nama loke purushartha saravid. Purakatanam bhagavat kata sudam. Apiya karnanjalibir bhavapaham. Aho virajeta vina naretaram. Word to word translation. Please repeat. Ka hu nama indeed. Loke in the world. Purushartha goal of life. Saravid one who knows the essence of. Purakatanam of all past histories. Bhagavad regarding the personality of Godhead. Katha Sudam the nectar of the narrations about the personality of Godhead. Apiya by drinking. Karna Anjalibihi by oral reception. Bhava Apaham that which kills all material pangs. Aho alas Virajeta could refuse. Vina except. Nara itaram other than the human being. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Ki. Who other than one who is not a human being can exist in this world and not be interested in the ultimate goal of life? Who can refuse the nectar of narrations about the personality of Godhead's activities, which by itself can deliver one from all material pangs? The narration of the activities of the personality of Godhead is like a constant flow of nectar. No one can refuse to drink such nectar except one who is not a human being. Devotional service to the Lord is the highest goal of life for every human being. And such devotional service begins by hearing about the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. Only an animal or a man who is almost an animal in behavior can refuse to take an interest in hearing the transcendental message of the Lord. There are many books of stories and histories in the world, but except for the histories or narrations on the topics of the personality of Godhead, none are capable of diminishing the burden of material pangs. Therefore, one who is serious about eliminating material existence must chant and hear the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. Otherwise, one must be compared to the non-humans. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Caitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Patakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripatamaham vande Shri Gurun dinatarinam paramananda madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. I'll read the translation again. Who other than one who is not a human being can exist in this world and not be interested in the ultimate goal of life? Who can refuse the nectar of narrations about the personality of Godhead's activities, which by itself can deliver one from all material pangs? Chapter title: The Appearance of Lord Varaha. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for taking your time to come to the abode of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath and to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a pastime in Vrajalila. Once Krishna goes to steal butter from a home, and whenever Krishna goes to steal, every single time the gopis, having known about the mischievous character of Krishna, they devise new ways to try to catch him, and every single time they think they catch him, somehow he'll escape. Sometimes when they catch him, he would say, "Oh, is this your house? I thought this is mine." And he'll just walk out innocently. Sometimes they would catch him with his hand right into the pot of butter. Then still Krishna would escape, saying, "Well, I came searching for my calf. I'm Gopal, don't you know?" And then he'll pull his hand out and he'll show his toy calf. "See, I found it." And he'll just walk away. One time, the gopis, they came and they complained to Mother Yashoda, saying, "Your son is always stealing." Mother Yashoda would say, "Why should my son steal? Don't you know his father is Vrajendra, the king of Vraja?" And the way how Mother Yashoda would make butter is, Nanda Maharaj, he had 900,000 cows. And of those 900,000 cows, 1,000 are considered to be very special. So they give very special grass. And they'll milk these 1,000 cows and they'll feed another 100 cows with this milk. And these 100 are considered to be very special. Now they'll milk these 100 cows, they'll take the milk and they'll feed 10 more very, very special cows. And they would milk these 10 also, take the milk and feed one most special cow. And that cow's name is Padmagandha. Reason why she is called Padmagandha is her milk will have the fragrance of lotus. And Mother Yashoda would then take that milk, make butter, and present it to her little Lala, little Krishna, and Krishna would reject that and go and steal. So Mother Yashoda would give this as a reason, saying, "He has such high quality butter here, why would he go?" Then the gopis would say, "All right, one day we will catch him red-handed and we'll bring you with proof." So one day they devise again an ingenious way to catch. And how do? They tie bells around the pot. So they tie bells around the pot, they tie bells on the door, they tie bells everywhere. Even if he makes a slight movement, the bell would ring, immediately the gopis can come and they catch. That was the plan. So one day when Krishna was about to enter a home, he saw all the bells. He's Antaryami, so he knows exactly what's happening, what's the plan. So he orders all the bells, "Don't ring." And the bells say, "Sure, no problem." He goes and he's testing it. He's shaking the bell, no sound. And then he goes, even around the grinding mortar, they tied a row of bells. Shakes, no sound. He moves it, no sound. Climbs on top, no sound. Pushes the pot of butter, still no sound. Now he is comfortable, all right. Now I can start my work. He takes the butter in his hand and he starts to eat, immediately all the bells rang. Now Krishna looks at all of them scornfully and he said, "What did I tell you?" And the king of all bells replied back, "My lord, in Shastras you say whenever Gopal takes boga, we are supposed to ring. And now here you are saying we should not ring. There is person Bhagavan, there is book Bhagavan. So we had to follow both. So that's why one half we didn't ring. Now we are eating, we have to ring." And everyone again started to ring. Shastra. Who else other than those in human being who's not a human being can exist in this world and not be interested in the ultimate goal of life? There are many verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. In fact, you can see almost a pattern. At the end of especially every avatar of the Supreme Lord, Ete Chamsa Kalapumsa, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, Indrari Vyakulam Lokam, Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. At the end of every pastime of the Supreme Lord, you will see there will be a series of verses that extol the glories of hearing these pastimes. It would say, whoever hears this pastime, they would become victorious. Whoever hears this pastime will get love of Godhead. So on and so forth. And almost immediately after that, you will see one or two verses that will glorify about the whole process of hearing and chanting. Of the 9 processes of bhakti, hearing is considered to be most prominent, most important. Maya sakta mana partha, yoga munjan madashraya, asamsayam, shamagramam, yata yantrishi, tachrino, simply hear. Because for hearing, even a little child can do. A child may be, if you look at the baby may be just playing. We may think that they are not hearing, but knowledge still goes in. So, for the process of hearing, scholarship is not needed, expertise in Shastras is not needed, one doesn't need to be a yogi, one doesn't need to even stay awake in class. That was a joke. Please stay awake. So, we have to stay awake. But still it's mentioned, even when we are asleep, the sense of hearing is still active. That's why we are dependent on alarm. That's the first sense that gets activated even when we are asleep. Sense of hearing is the first sense that gets activated even when we are in the womb of a mother. And it's the last sense, it's said, that switches off at the time of death. Sense of hearing is the last sense that shuts down. So, this sense of hearing, whether we like it or not, it's there. We can't, if you don't want to see something, you can close your eyes. If you don't want to smell something, you can still do it. Try to hold your breath. Try doing that with hearing without using hands. We can't do. So sense of hearing is time and again emphasized as something which is fundamental for the process of Krishna consciousness. In fact, fundamental for each one of the other 8 processes of bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Kirtanam can be done only if we start to hear. After hearing, we can start Kirtanam. Smaranam, same way. We can remember Supreme Lord only after hearing. Without hearing, we cannot remember. So on and so forth. So, literally every pastime, if you see, this process of hearing and chanting is emphasized again and again. And Bhagavatam goes to the extent of even condemning those who are in human form of life but don't take advantage of this process of hearing. Ayur harati vaipamsam hudyan astam chayanyashav tasyarte kshananirta uttama shloka vartaya. Bhagavatam says that at the rise and fall of the sun every day, one's lifespan is reduced by 24 hours, except that of those who engaged in the process of hearing and chanting. Now, what does this hearing do? Prabhupada actually explains in the purport, the narration of the activities of the personality of Godhead is like a constant flow of nectar. Normally, whatever we hear, we tend to think, and whatever we tend to think, we tend to speak. That's how, if you see, even we have learnt language, you may see little kids, they may not know how to write, but everyone knows how to speak, simply by hearing. If we hear more about Krishna, when we come in front of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, we can relate to Shri Shri Radha Gopinath more. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's mentioned Kama Gayatri has 24 and a half syllables. And each of the syllable, they refer to moon. Krishna's whole face is a moon. 2 cheeks, moon. Forehead, half a moon, because it's only half. And there is a sandalwood dot which Krishna has, he decorates himself. That is considered full moon. So his face itself has got 4.5 moons. And then 10 fingernails, 10 moons, 10 toenails. So altogether, Bhagavatam says, or rather Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is said by Caitanya Mahaprabhu himself. He says Krishna is an embodiment of 24.5 moons. So when we chant a Gayatri mantra, each one of those syllables, they refer to each one of these moons. Now if you hear this information, next time you go in front of Radha Gopinath, you may not remember every time. Sometime when you look at him, of course he's always beautiful, but sometimes we'll be in a mood to appreciate the beauty. But next time you go, you look at him, suddenly this information comes to your mind. Moon, then you start to see, yeah, it looks like a moon. Chubby cheeks, yeah, 1, 2, 3, you'll start to count. Hearing has that power to influence our thought process. Hearing has the power to influence our lifestyle. It has the power to push us towards back to Godhead. So Bhagavatam, time and again, after narrating the pastime, it encourages this whole process of hearing itself. And as I said, those who don't take advantage of this process of hearing, there are many verses which condemns. Bile batoru krama vikramaniya nachrinvatam karna pute narasya jivasati dar durkeva suta nachopagayanti urgaya gata. It says, whoever who is in human form of life don't hear about Krishna, their ears is considered to be snake holes, heavy. And their tongue, whatever they speak, it's like croaking of the frogs. Second canto, it's given like that. So you'll come across verses that says in the negative, discouraging, why one should not continue to not hear. In other words, why one should hear. Otherwise, the human form of life, even though we may be in human form of life, we are considered to be an animal. Samsthuta Purusha Pashu, it's given. If somebody is in human form of life but don't hear about the glories of Krishna. And what are these glories like? What is the effect of hearing? In 10th canto there is a verse, actually there are a couple of verses that say there are 6 benefits one gets by hearing about Krishna. Ena ena vatarena Bhagavan Haririshwaraha Karoti Karna Ramyani Mano Jnani Chana Prabhu Yachrinvatopyaiti Aratir Vitrishna Satvam Chasudyati Achirena Pumsa Bhaktir Harau Chattat Purushe Chasakyam Tadeva Haram Vadamanyate Chet. First effect of hearing is, if we look at Krishna, it is a festival for our eyes. Eyes, when you go look at something which is very scenic, very beautiful, it is very pleasing. And that can be even fireworks on a New Year's Eve. You look at it, you feel very happy. Eyes actually seek their own pleasure. So anything that is very pleasing, eyes feel very happy about it. Now, looking at what does the eyes feel maximum pleasure, Bhagavatam says looking at the form of the Lord. Because form of the Lord is condensed bliss. We say there are different ingredients with which a deity can be made of. Shaili, Darumahi, Lauhi, Lepya Leka, Chashaikati, Manomai, Manimai, Pratima, Ashtavidasmrita. There are 8 different materials with which you can make a deity. But the underlying secret ingredient in all the 8 different types of deities is bliss. So you look at form of Chota Radha Gopinath, you feel blissful. You look at Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, you feel blissful. I was reading something about Lord Baladev. Baladev, when he was born 8 days before. Actually taking a step forward or back. Once devotees asked Prabhupada, you might have seen this beautiful form of Krishna Balaram. Krishna standing holding his flute and Balaram having his arm resting on Krishna. Have you seen it? So devotees took this question to Prabhupada, who is more powerful, Krishna or Balaram? Some devotees, they said, must be Balaram because he is elder. Some devotees said, no, it has to be Krishna because Krishna is supporting Balaram. So then they took it to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And one Acharya actually writes, why Krishna is the Supreme Lord? Normally, if you see a baby is born in a family, who would name a child? Father, mother, grandparents. So, when Lord Balaram was in the womb of Mother Devaki, at that time Krishna calls Yogamaya. And he tells to Yogamaya, you see my brother Balabhadra, Krishna names him. And Krishna calls because he will get attracted towards the womb of Mother Rohini. Akarshana means to get attracted. So that's how he gets the name Sankarshana, one who gets attracted or one who links two families. So he will get attracted because of that from the womb of Mother Devaki to the womb of Mother Rohini. It has never happened before, it will never happen in future. Somebody moving from inside the tummy of one mother to the other. Only Balaram can do that. Because of that, he'll be called by the name Sankarshana. Then he glorifies Balaram because he'll be so powerful. He'll be known as Balabhadra. Prabhupada says that strength not only in a physical sense, spiritual strength also. So if we feel very weak in our spiritual life, we should worship Lord Baladev. So he'll be called Balabhadra. Because he'll bring pleasure to everyone, he'll be called as Rama or Balarama. One who brings pleasure to everyone. So in this way, Krishna names Balaram. So even though the role of Lord Balaram is like that of an older brother, Krishna is naming him, so Krishna is the elder one. So Krishna is more powerful. So Balaram, so he is first in Mother Devaki's womb. He readies the place for Krishna to come down, and then he moves to Vrindavan, into Mother Rohini's womb. In fact, Krishna actually tells to Yogamaya, so you have to carry. But if you look at the Shastras say that Balaram is the one who is supporting everyone and everything. But then Yogamaya herself is given a task which is practically impossible. How can you carry someone who is actually supporting ourselves? It's like lifting myself. How can I lift? In fact, lifting the foundation that is actually carrying me, it's impossible. But Krishna gave special potency to Yogamaya, allowing her to carry. So then Yogamaya carries Balaram. So Balaram, when he was born, he would just sit idle, as if he is an inanimate object. So he was born 8 days before Krishna. He would be on the lap of Rohini Mata. And he won't cry, he won't laugh, he won't smile, he'll just keep staring like Paramatma. Everyone look, they try to make him laugh, smile, no response. And different devotees try, still no response. So finally, Rohini Mata brings baby Balaram to Mother Yashoda. As soon as he goes to Mother Yashoda's lap, he'll start to play. And then as soon as they lift him, he'll sit idle. Again he'll kick his hand, legs, he'll start to laugh, cry, everything. No crying, only laughing. Again they will lift. Then they realized, reason why he is so active on the lap of Mother Yashoda is, he is with Krishna. Krishna is inside the womb. Krishna is just 8 days late, so he's waiting for him. Come on bro, we have to play. So when he's close to Krishna, he becomes very happy, very active. But as soon as you take him away, he becomes very sad. He just keeps quiet. And you will see similar pastime with Srimati Radharani also. She was born very beautiful on a 1,000-petaled lotus. She comes, but then her eyes were closed, not opening. She was waiting until baby Krishna comes and looks, and then she gives, you will see that beautiful artwork. devotees made. There's a cradle in which baby Radharani is lying down and Krishna holding a flute will just climb. Actually, the follow-through of that pastime is, she gives just a sidelong glance. Kripa Kataksha, it's given. That was so strong, Krishna actually came down tumbling. It's given. Krishna can't withstand that. So Balaram is like that. So you look at form of Balaram, you look at the form of the Lord in Daru, in wood, they give bliss. You look in metal form, they give bliss. You look in marble form, they give bliss. So the secret ingredient in every Vigraha, which is demonstrated by Krishna, this is Swayam Bhagavan, he takes form in each one of these 8 different material, but all of them give equal bliss. First effect is, when we look at them, our eyes feel so happy. If you look at something which is scary, first thing you do is you close your eyes. Lightning, you close your eyes. Because we think if we close our eyes, it will go away. Actually, it may come to us, but we still close our eyes. Anything which is scary, first response is we close our eyes immediately. You see a snake, you close your eyes. You see something that's about to devour, you close your eyes. Why? Because eyes also feel the pain. We may not sense it, eyes also have certain pleasure. So same way, when we look at the Lord, eyes, they take pleasure. So that's the first effect that's given. Manoramyani. Likewise, heart also takes the pleasure. Ears also take the pleasure. Each one of these different senses. Gross senses as well as the subtle sense. So they are the first 2 effects. Third one is Yachrinvato Apyaiti Aratir Vitrishna. Any dirty things that we have in our heart, things which we are either addicted to, things which are unfavorable to Krishna consciousness, which we are still holding on to, we are struggling hard to get rid of, will be easily be able to give up if we start hearing about the pastimes of the Lord. When we look at the form of the Lord. Yachrinvato, especially pastime of hearing. Or hearing the pastimes of the Lord. Yachrinvato apeti aratir vitrishna. It wipes out any dirt that's in our heart. Sattvam cha shuddhyati acharena pumsa. We develop devotional service to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhaktir harau tat purushe cha sakyam. Fifth effect is, one develops bhakti, attraction towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And sixth effect is, Bhaktir harau tat purushe cha sakyam. We develop friendship with the devotees. So these are the 6 effects that's given. Pleasing to the eyes, all gross senses, pleasing to the mind, pleasing to all subtle senses, getting rid of all dirt that's in our heart, developing devotional service towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, developing attraction to the lotus feet of the Lord, as well as friendship to be in the association of devotees. So in this way, simply by giving oral reception, simply by giving a favorable audience to hearing and chanting of the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it's mentioned one will be able to quickly progress. Because sense of hearing, they always demand for pleasure, different types of pleasure. But if we somehow or other fill ourselves with the narrations of the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, whatever he does, he creates news. Like when Krishna, actually Ghanashyam Prabhu, he says in one class, whenever Krishna does anything, immediately all different acharyas, they come with a pen and paper ready to write. When Krishna closes his eyes, you will find half a dozen commentary, different commentaries, glorifying why Krishna closed his eyes. Like for example, Putana. When Putana came, why did Krishna close his eyes? One acharya says, Krishna closed his eyes because he's a little baby, he's looking at a demoness, so he's very scared. That's why he's closing. Another acharya says, Krishna is thinking, I want to start killing, but she's coming in the form of my mother, taking a form of a woman. Stri Hatya is actually very sinful. Why should I actually start my pastime like this? Thinking that way, he is closing his eyes. So you will come across different instances. But then, That level of detail you will find in literally each and every movement of Krishna. Like you will see in Putana's case also, Putana comes, she feeds baby Krishna with the milk. But then even in that also, there is detail there that's given. Like if you see during the churning of Samutra Mandan Leela, or during the churning of Mandara mountain to extract nectar from the ocean of milk, what came out first? Poison. Who came to drink the poison? It's Lord Shiva. Now, Prabhupada says, when Krishna comes, all the avatars also come with him, including Gunavatar, Leelavatar, Satyavashavatar, Purushavatar, Manvantara Yuga Avatar, everyone. Gunavatar is Lord Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, everyone. So when Putana is there, smearing her breast with the Kalakuta, with such a poisonous, or rather, such a deadly poison, Krishna, he doesn't drink it. Shiva, who is inside Krishna, he comes out, drinks the poison and he goes. And then Krishna just takes the milk. And then Vishnu comes out, kills her. It's just one single act, but three personalities involved. So you will see details like that in each and every activity of Krishna. Why Krishna did this? Why didn't he do that? So when we start to analyze each one of them, our mind actually gets purified. When Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says that philosophical truths, they are quite hard. It's not very easy. Somebody has to tell us. Even when you read, you will come across series of prayers, some little pastime in Bhagavatam, and then again series of prayers. Philosophically, you will find you need to exert ourselves a little more. It's not, you can't do a casual read for Bhagavatam. But Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, yes, you need to exert yourself a little bit, but if you do that, what it will do is, it will purify our mind and intelligence. Just like if somebody has to keep themselves physically fit, they have to do yoga. Yoga is not a very happy exercise. You need to still exert yourself. Or you have to do jogging, for example. Somebody may do boxing. So, when somebody has to shape up their body, they need to still exert themselves a bit. Same way, when you have to purify your mind, purify your intelligence, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says we need to exert ourselves a little bit. Now, it may be difficult for us to study, it may be difficult for us to remember. Nevertheless, if we keep on doing it, what will eventually come is that purification that will come. What will eventually happen is that little attraction that Srimad Bhagavatam actually explains. That simply by hearing Krishna's pastimes once, sometimes it's mentioned in pastimes that Srimati Radharani, she would just faint when she feels Krishna is there no more. He's not there, he has gone. She feels pangs of separation and she'll faint. To revive her, Lalita would just come and she would just recite Krishna's name. Krishna, Gopinath, immediately she'll get up. Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he also demonstrates what Mahabhav means. When Caitanya Mahaprabhu also feels the separation lies down, devotees would simply hold Kirtan. As soon as they have Kirtan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would get up. When Prabhupada, he would go to ecstasy. Whenever he tries to narrate, especially about the unparalleled mercy of Lordship Sri Sri Gauranitai, even at that time also, when he goes to ecstasy, feeling choked, devotees don't know what to do, then they start to chant. One time, some devotees got upset with one sannyasi because he started to chant, and because of that, Prabhupada came to external consciousness. So then, one half of the temple room, they felt, Prabhupada said, okay, chant Hare Krishna, and Prabhupada just walked away. That was the class. So, some devotees were actually saying, you shouldn't have chanted. You shouldn't have disturbed Prabhupada. Other devotees were saying, no, this is Shastra Praman, we have to do chanting. Then they go to Prabhupada and they ask him, so Prabhupada, whenever you go to ecstasy, what are we supposed to do? They ask everything to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, what did you pray? One devotee asked Prabhupada one day. So here they ask Prabhupada, whenever you go to ecstasy, what are we supposed to do? So Prabhupada told them, it doesn't. Prabhupada was feeling little embarrassed. And Prabhupada says, actually it doesn't happen often. And then Prabhupada, no Prabhupada, we still want to know. Then Prabhupada said, well, if it happens, then yeah, you can chant Hare Krishna. Then they tell to Prabhupada, one sannyasi chanted Hare Krishna and devotees are upset with them. No, it's all right, you can chant Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada just brushes it aside that way. Okay, so this process of hearing and chanting is very important. And in every single pastime, if you see, be it in Varaha that we see here, be it in Narshingadev's pastime, we will see later. Simply hearing brings remembrance. I remember in one class I was actually hearing, the devotee giving class, he was saying, if I tell you Roger Federer, immediately his form comes into your mind straight away. Same way if you say of any other celebrity, immediately, Ronaldo, whoever, immediately it comes. The sound has the power to bring certain thoughts. Same material sound vibration we can understand in terms of Shastras also. More we hear Krishna, more we will remember Krishna. Now we may not find that connection, we may not even realize that connection. But that's what happens. Materially it's happening, so why will it not happen? Even if you think materially, if you think even, this is playing devil's advocate, even if you think Krishna has a material personality, fine. Just like how any material name is bringing the thought about the material personality, still Krishna's name, even if you assume it has material, it will still bring Krishna's form. And that is good enough still to purify us. So we should somehow or other, we should constantly hear. Many times we take hearing and chanting for granted. It becomes mechanical. Prabhupada says, once when they asked why we should, actually one devotee actually asked Prabhupada in a morning walk, Prabhupada, some devotees are saying that it's enough just to chant Hare Krishna. We don't need to hear. We don't need to read your books. Prabhupada says, no. Whoever chants, they should feel even more attracted to reading, because more you hear, more you chant, more you would want to know about Krishna. That means you should be more exemplary in reading and distributing my books. Prabhupada says like that. But if we don't equip ourselves with this knowledge about Krishna, if we don't equip ourselves with the tattva about Krishna, how great Krishna is, how powerful Krishna is, how merciful Krishna is, how beautiful Krishna is, then chanting Hare Krishna will become a mechanical exercise. Will that have progress? It will. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, any activity that you do with knowledge and without knowledge, you will get different degrees of result. You will get different degrees of effectiveness in the result. Just like if somebody eats prasad, Mahaprasad, what effect will that bring on them? It depends on their state of consciousness. If somebody eats Mahaprasad without even realizing that they are eating Mahaprasad, they will get at least a human form of life in next life. That's like bare minimum. But if somebody thinks, I am actually taking Mahaprasad, having that little appreciation that this is mercy of the Lord, then guarantee as a devotee in the next life, it's there in the Shastra. Same activity, but with a little more knowledge. If somebody goes a little further and eating, this is mercy of the Supreme Lord. Simply by eating this, one can go back to Godhead. When one eats with that level of appreciation, one can actually go back to Godhead. Actually, one can eat their way back to Godhead. Simply by eating, they can go back to Godhead. Ramanujacharya, he demonstrates that on the banks of Kaveri. One day he just throws some Mahaprasad on Kaveri. Few fishes, they come and they eat. Right in front of their eyes, they assume 400 form of Vishnu, Chaturbhuja form, Sarupya Mukti, and they go back. And again he picks up little Mahaprasad, throw, few more fishes come, eat, right in front of their eyes they go. So then the disciples get a little curious and they asked, Gurudev, we have also been eating a lot of Mahaprasad. Why is it we are still embodied? Why is it we aren't liberated yet? And then Ramanujacharya says, fishes are very innocent actually. You give them Mahaprasad, they just come, they innocently eat. Full surrender, full shelter, they eat. Because of that, they get instant benefit straight away. So any activity that we do, if we do it in knowledge, we are preparing for welcoming the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the most mercifulest of all forms, Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. This evening, Abhishek Prabhu will be giving a class on longing for Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu at 6 p.m. This is a good opportunity for us to study about the glorious pastimes of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu by reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. There is a special offer also now. Thanks to our book distribution leaders, you can get a set of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. You can simply read, and every page you will see only nectar, as the book itself says, Chaitanya Charita Amrita, nectar. So simply by reading little bit more, we will get more conviction in the process. We will get more attraction to the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Katanchana smritayasmin dushkaram shukaram bhavet. Vishmrite viparitam syat Sri Chaitanyam namamitam. Simply by remembering the lotus feet of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, even the most difficult things become very easy. But if one somehow forgets to do so, even the most easy things become very difficult. Welcome to Kali Yuga. Most difficult things become very easy if one somehow or other remembers Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now we need to know who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We need to know at least enough subject matter to be able to think, contemplate. Smaran, Manan it's given. Shravan, Kirtan, Smaran, Manan. Manan is contemplation. Contemplation is possible depending on how much you hear. Without hearing, we can't do mental speculation. Then we come under jnanis. Devotees also do contemplation, but that contemplation is based on hearing. The way how this process works is, first we hear. Hearing also means reading. Prabhupada says, my books are recorded chanting. Hearing, reading Prabhupada's books the same. By hearing, we then remember Krishna. We remember Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And whatever that's committed in our memory, we'll be able to then contemplate. We'll then be able to remember. We can't remember something which we haven't heard. That's not possible. Narada Muni says, even things which we see in our dream, we can't see something in our dream which is not within our experience. Now, may not be in this life. In some past life we might have. But Narada Muni says, whatever we see in our dream, if we see something in our dream, means we have lived through that experience. Either in this life, sometimes you may get experiences that is relatable. Sometimes you will have experience about flying. You may come across experience that's related to swimming. That should tell us about our past lives. What were we doing? So anything that we see in our dream, that's based on our experience, he says. Same way, if you want to contemplate something, again, Narada Muni says, you cannot think of something that is beyond your experience. It's not within human intelligence to do so. So whatever that you see around as innovations of modern man's mind, they are all part of our experience in the past. Be it in this life, previous life, in human life, animal life, whichever way. Okay, they are all simply. But if we, same sense of thinking, same sense of hearing, same sense of contemplation, if we bring about in the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, about the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, then our life is successful. Somehow or other, we should remember about the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And simply if you remember every Shastra, every verse of the Shastra, now midyate bravapuse tadidambaraya gunja vatamsa paripicha lasan mukaya vanya sraje kapalavetra visana venu lakshmashriye mridupade pasupangajaya. Have you seen this beautiful artwork of Krishna standing there and Lord Brahma coming and asking for forgiveness from Krishna after Brahma Vimohan Leela? It's in Krishna book. You can see Brahma has 4 heads. If you read Krishna book, 10th canto also, you will see Brahma, when he comes, he paid obeisances in each one of his head. I was thinking how? He was showing his humility. Okay. But very uncommon. But he does it. He does obeisance in all of his 4 heads. And then what you see as the artwork is just the illustration of this particular verse which I recited. Naumidya te abra vapuse Tadidambaraya. O supremely worshipable Lord, Brahma is actually offering this prayer. O supremely worshipable Lord, whose body is like that of a dark cloud, who is wearing ambara, who is wearing a garment, dhoti, which is like yellow shining lightning. Naumidya Tebra Vapuse, Tadid Ambaraya, Gunjavatamsa. O Supreme Lord, he who wears the earrings that's made of gunja berries. Paripicha, whose head is decorated with a peacock feather. Whose hand is actually holding four things. It's given. Now Midya Tevrapuse Tadidambaraya Gunjavatamsa Paripicha Lasan Mukaya. One whose face is like 24 and a half moons. Remember that always. 24 and a half. 10 fingers, 10 nails, fingernails, 10 toenails, 20, 21, 22, 23, 23 and a half, and 24. 24 and a half. This is one. Half is just the forehead. 24 and a half moons. So his face is resplendent like a full moon. Mukha Chandra, it's given. Gaura Chandra, Krishna is also Chandra. Naumidya Tevrapuse Tadidambaraya Gunjavatamsa Paripicha Lasan Mukaya. He whose head is actually decorated by peacock feather, whose face is like a full moon. Vanyasraja, he who is decorated with beautiful garland made of vana. Vanyasraja, sraja means garland. Vanya means a garland made of flowers that grow in forest. Vanyasraja Kavala Vetra Vishana Venu. Four things he is saying he is holding. If you look at the artwork, you will see this is exact depiction of this verse. Kavala means he is holding a morsel of food in his hand. You will see Krishna holding a morsel of food in his hand, and that's Krishna's favorite. Prabhupada says yogurt rice. Actually, I read something very interesting about ghee. Dinabandhu Prabhu is saying he read in a research paper the way how in Vedic times they used to make butter and ghee is you have milk. Actually, Prabhupada actually says this in New Vrindavan also. You have milk. From the milk you get yogurt. And you churn the yogurt, you get butter. And you melt the butter, you get ghee. And the same yogurt, after you churn, when you take the butter out, the remains, they are called buttermilk, chash. So Prabhupada says this way, first you have milk, you can convert to yogurt with a sour substance. The yogurt you then churn, separate butter and buttermilk separate. Buttermilk, Prabhupada says you can take it with chapati. Prabhupada says like that. then you have butter, melt the butter, you get ghee. And then Prabhupada says you can take it. Ghee, Prabhupada says it's called liquid gold. You don't need to preserve it. It will just last for many years. Now, Dinabandhu Prabhu is saying that this is Vedic way of making butter and ghee. If somebody takes a butter that is made from yogurt, a ghee that is made from yogurt, he is saying, according to research, even modern research, one's cholesterol level will go low. But he is saying, but the same butter and ghee, if they make with modern means, which is by separating the cream out of the milk, and they sell the skimmed milk separately, when the cream is separated, now you churn this cream and make butter and ghee out of it, then he says, same butter and ghee will increase the cholesterol. Okay, coming back to Kavala Vetra Visana Venu. So, Krishna holds, Prabhupada says, this is Krishna's favorite. Krishna would take yogurt rice, that's mixed with some fruits also. And Krishna is holding, how is he holding? He is not even holding it properly. He is like still little Gopa, soft butter hands. He is holding it and the rice is about to spill out. You know, little kids when they hold something, they won't really hold. You know, they are going to drop and they won't drop. And then just when you think everything is okay, they'll drop things. Have you seen it? The Krishna was holding like that. Then when Brahmaji sees that, it's like, it cannot be Supreme Lord. He was very convinced. Because before that also he sees Krishna is eating prasad from other people's plate. Madhumangal is trying to steal laddu. he puts in his mouth, Krishna punches his cheeks, laddu comes out, Krishna catches in his mouth like that and he's eating. Brahma sees all of this. This is Muchi. This cannot be Supreme Lord. And at one point in one pastime it's given, Brahmaji thinks that I have to see, they are taking morsel of food. If this is Supreme Lord, then this must be Mahaprasad. Let me also try tasting Mahaprasad. So Brahmaji actually takes the form of a fish, because Krishna, after he takes prasad, he would wash his hands in a kunda. So Brahmaji takes the form of a golden fish and he is waiting. And Krishna also knew that Brahmaji is waiting. And Krishna finishes eating. And it's mentioned on that particular day, usually Krishna, whichever hand he eats, he will just dip that hand in the kunda and wash it that way. That day, he used the other hand, which is clean, to scoop the water out and he cleaned outside. Brahmaji looked and he went. Acharya's comment saying this pastime that even Mahaprasad, the mercy of the Lord, we can't demand, we can't cheat. Of course, Brahmaji, he is our Adiguru for our parampara. He is performing this pastime, cooperating with the Supreme Lord to teach all of us. Brahmaji is a pure devotee. But just like you will have Jai Vijay, pure devotees playing the role, different role to enhance the pastime, Brahmaji also enhances the pastime. Kavala Vetra Visana Venu. Krishna is holding. Krishna is taking prasad, boga with all his playmates, everyone. Have you seen that beautiful photo when Krishna is sitting in the center and all the gopas are circling, seated in a circular fashion around Krishna like a wall of a lotus? Everyone will be looking at Krishna. Bhagavatam says, everyone seated there are like millions and millions of them. Everyone was convinced that Krishna was looking at them only. And Krishna was looking at them only. And Krishna was eating from each one plate. Suddenly they look and they can't see the calves. So then, normally, if something like that happens, what do we do? Okay, we have our spiritual master. Spiritual master says, can I get a glass of water? Immediately we'll jump up and we'll run to go and serve. Here Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, surrounded by his devotees. Devotees are looking at the calves. Calves are missing. And they are saying, oh, calves are missing. Immediately Krishna is saying, you continue eating, I'll go and search. And Krishna gets up. This is Vrajabhumi. So Krishna gets up, goes holding the morsel of food in his hand. Kavala, food. Vetra, stick. Vishana, buffalo horn. Venu, flute. 4 things he is saying. Kavala, Vetra, Vishana, Venu. This is description. This verse is actually spoken by Brahmaji. Brahma is saying, my Lord, this is what I see. Naumidya Tevbravapuse Tadidambaraya Gunjavatamsa Paripicha Lasan Mukaya Vanyasraje Kavala Vetra Vishana Venu Lakshma Shriye. This beautiful form, Mrudupade, your feet is so soft. Mrudupade Pashupangajaya. Gopa, we know, one who is protector of cows. Gopal. Pashupa also means the same. Instead of go, the word Pashu is used. Pashupa here refers to cowherd. Pashupa Angajaya, the son of cowherd, which is son of Nanda Maharaj. That's what it means. So this particular verse, when we actually hear, next time you see the form, you can relate to that. Oh, this is what Krishna is doing. Otherwise, we'll just see, yeah, beautiful artwork, we'll just move on. We won't even see the detail. But that's what hearing does. It kicks out all the material impressions that we have, and it fills our heart, fills our